Welcome to week 7 of the NPTEL session. Today the session is about strings in C. So we will be using the concept of arrays from the previous week's session, and we will be using it especially in the context of using strings in C. We will be then going through some of the assignments of this week, which is mainly about using the concept of arrays in the context of strings. So we will be using and manipulating different kinds of strings, starting from counting the number of elements in the string to how strings are basically handled in C. As far as C language is concerned, the handling of strings is a bit primitive. So you have to have a fair bit of knowledge on how strings are being actually dealt with within the C context of C programming language. And basically in C, generally the strings are terminated by a null character, which is nothing but a \0. And except for that, when we talk about strings, it's nothing but just a collection of characters. So you can have any word or any sentence, which is just a collection of characters. And in C, that's something called string. Not only in C, it's fairly standard in many other programming languages as well, that if you have any collection of characters, that is what we call as strings. So let's get started. And I'm going to wait for a few minutes for people to join in, like 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will be diving in straight on to the session today. Okay, I see one person has joined in. So as I was saying, that today's session is mostly about strings. This is week 7 of NPTEL, and we will be covering basic usage of different kinds of strings in C, and we will be also using the previous concepts of arrays from the previous week. And now we will be also discussing some of the questions from the previous year's assignment, and hopefully this will be quite a good enough resource for you to answer the assignments of this week and get you comfortable in dealing with strings in C. So if you have any questions at this point, please feel free to either put it on chat or you can ask it by unmuting yourself. I'll be happy to answer that. Otherwise, let's me start by sharing my screen. Okay, I think my screen share is visible in here. So we'll be first discussing some of the MCQ questions from previous year, and then we will also then do some of the programming assignments as well. So let's start with the first one. In C language, the last character of a string. So as this I have already told in a while ago, when you are dealing with strings in C, the last character always is a null character, which is \0. So the right answer here is \0. Okay, let's go to the next question then. Consider the following declaration of a two-dimensional array in C. So you have char A 100 100. So what this means is that you have an array whose name is A. It is of the type character. So you have a character array and it's a two-dimensional array. That's why you have two box brackets and the number of elements along each of the dimension is 100. So you have 100, 100. So this is kind of the standard declaration of an array in C. Okay, so now the question is what is the address? So if your memory address starts from 0, you are asked to find out the address of 4050. So A 4050. So what this would mean is that since these are two-dimensional arrays and in C the arrays are arranged or laid out in memory from kind of left to right. So or it's a row major thing. So what would mean what the 4050 would mean is that you have 40 rows, and on the and after you have gone 40 rows, you have also covered 50th element along one of the rows. So that's kind of striding along the columns. So 40 rows would mean you are already at 40,000 because each row has 100 elements each along the columns. So 40 rows will mean 40 times 100. So you have already 4,000. And on top of that, you have now again in the 40th row, you have also gone by 50 elements, right? So then, I mean, 50 would mean you are starting from the 51st, basically. So then what would mean is that you have already covered 40 times 100 times plus 50 elements. So that would mean 4050, right? So the right answer is 4050. I hope this is clear. If this is not clear, then please feel free to ask it in the chat, or you can also unmute yourself if you have any specific doubt. Otherwise, I'll assume that this is pretty clear, and I'll go to the next question, where you have been asked to tell the output of this following code. So as you can see, you have two kind of string arrays, two character arrays in here, and a string is a special kind of character array which terminates in a null character /0, right? And so what you see in the first line, str1, week 7 assignment, something like this. So this is in double quotes, so it's a special way of writing strings in C. And what this would mean is that it is obviously a collection of characters, so it's a character array. And along with week 7 assignment, it's implicitly, since this is written in double quotes, it's a string, so it's implicitly assumed or implicitly taken that you have one more additional character /0 at the end of the last character in here, which is T. So you have week 7 assignment, and at the end you have a /0. So that, so the idea here is that str1 is of length week 7 assignment plus 1. The additional plus 1 is because of the /0 character which every string has. However, str2 is written explicitly as a collection of separate characters, and here you do not have that /0 because it's not written in double quotes. So when you do not write it in double quotes, it's treated as just any other array. And in this specific case, it's an array of characters. Only when you are put it in double quotes, he knows that's a string, and it has to end it with a /0 or a null character at the end. So it's an array of characters with a /0 at the end, which is not for str2, because it's kind of a collection of just characters or an array of just characters, right? So what you have for n1 is str1, size of str1 by size of str1 0. So this gives you the length of any array. So this is like a standard. So str1 is the length of the entire array, and size of str1 0 is the length of a single element in the array, right? So this gives you just the length of the entire array, right? So here, what you see is that week 7 assignment, what is written in here, you will have a length which is 18. And the reason you will have a length 18 is because you have that additional /0. It's a special character array which is string, so you have an additional character, so your length should be 18 for n1. However, for str2 is just any other normal array which 17 elements, so it's n2 should be 17. So that's why the right answer is n1 is 18 and the n2 is 17. I hope this is clear. Please feel free to ask any questions if you. Okay, tell again. So can you tell me which question are you asking? Is this? Yeah, can you please? Okay. Question 2. Okay, so what this means is that you have 40 elements, 40 rows, right? A 40, 50. So that means you have 40 rows, and each row has 100 elements each, because you have like the column size is 100. So that would mean that A 40, 50, when you write 40, you have already, you are actually at the 41st position. So you have already covered 40 rows before. So, and each row has 100 elements. So you have the total memory you have covered is 40 times 100 times 1 byte. Since it's a character, it's just 1 byte, right? So therefore you have 40 times 100, so 4,000 is already you have covered for 40, right? So 4,000 because you have already covered 40 rows. And next element 50, what that means is that at the 41st row, you have gone by 50 elements. So you are at the 51st position, and so you have also gone by 50 elements in the 41st row. So then that would also mean is that not only have you covered 40 rows, but in the 41st row, you are at the 51st column. So then the total number of characters that you have encountered is kind of 40 times 100 plus 50. So that gives you 4050. And since each character is of 1 byte, and therefore also that total number of bytes that you have encountered in memory is also 4050, and your address starts from 0. So 0 plus 4050 gives you 0. So the current memory address where you are located at when you give 4050 is 4050. Is this clear? Okay, okay. And please wait for just 1 minute. I need to take one call and I will be back. Just wait for 1 minute. Okay. Okay, thanks. Thanks for your time. And so let's go to the next question then. And thank you for waiting. Okay, so let's see. We are at question 4, right? So are there any doubt with question 3? If not, then I'll proceed to question 4. Yeah, okay. So then let me go to question 4, which asks which of the following, which is the disadvantage of linear search? So requires more space. No, that's not true. Linear search is just you go and search for an element one at a time. So greater time complexities compared to other searching algorithms. That's true because say, for example, if you have a binary search, then what you can do is you can divide a large array into smaller and smaller parts and make the search go accordingly, and you can discard a large portion of the array just in every step, and that kind of reduces the amount of time required for doing a search. So obviously it's more advantageous compared to a linear search. So obviously linear search is the brute force thing that you go through every element in the array and you search for whether the element that you are searching for matches the element in the array or not. So you start from 0 and you see 0th element, does it match the element that you are looking for? Then you go to the first element, then you do this test again, and you keep on doing this until you find a match. So it's obviously takes a lot of time compared to say binary search, where you kind of have a sorted array and you can then discard large segments of the array and you say, okay, this large part of the array I don't need to search anymore. So you confine your search to a smaller portion of the array. So obviously it takes much less time, but linear search, the disadvantage is that it takes much longer time compared to other searching algorithms. So B is the right answer, and I think the rest are kind of just there. Okay, so what will be the output? So here you see there is a code where you have two variables. One is str1 and the other is str2. The first str1 has hello and the str2 has space world. So then what the first thing does is let's look at strcat. So this is nothing but cat transfer concatenate. So it concatenates the two strings together, str1 and str2. So what you have at the end is hello space world, which is the output of strcat. And once you have that, that is getting assigned to str. Now the thing is strcpy. So what this does is string copy. So it copies everything to the from the second element to the first element. So to summarize, what's happening in here is that str1 and str2 are getting concatenated. So you have hello strcat, and then strcopy is assigning this entire concatenated string to str2, and so you have str2 as hello world, and then that's getting printed. So the output of this code is hello world, right? If you have any doubt here, also please you can put it on the chat, or else I'll just proceed to the next question, assuming that there is no doubt in this. Okay. Then let me go to the next one where you are asked to get the output of you get the output as HWI space OREA. So what should be the condition for which you have to get this output? So you see what you have is hello world, and here what you are seeing is that you are getting every alternate character. So you get kind of so sorry, your character S is how is your exam. So here you see HOW space, then IS space, and then the string continues in here, and you get HWI, and then you get a space, and then you get OR E and A. So what this would mean is that you get, you see, you start from the first character and you skip the next one, and then you get the one after that, and then again you skip the one, and then you get the one after that. So then what this means is that you get every alternate character. So therefore, if you think about this string S, then the 0th element of this S character S string, which is an character array, is H, right? And then the first element is O, and then second element is W. So then you see that with this particular thing, which HWI space OREA, what you have is you have every even indices getting chosen, because it's every alternate, and because every even index is getting chosen, you have this specific output HWI OREA. So then that would mean is that the if condition that you would need is I percentage 2 uh, equals to 0. What this means is that I modulo 2. So this percentage means modulus. So anything which is divisible by 2 is an even number. So I modulo 2 equals to 0 would test that if I is divisible by 2 or not, and if it is divisible by 2, then only the print statement gets executed, and therefore you have the specific output which you see in here. So I hope this is clear. If not, please ask. Yes, yes. So when you have an even number, it has to be divisible by 2, and therefore you start from the first element and choose the, after you choose the 0, you start from actually the 0th element in the terms of the C language, and then you go to the second element, which is W, and then you go to the fourth element, which is I, and just like that, you just iterate over, and you have this specific thing, right? Okay, so let's then discuss question 7, where you see you have this, what will be the condition value of I after the execution of the C code. Here you see there is str1, which is DILS, and you have then str2, which is initialized to just nothing, it's just like a character array, which is assumed to be static, and then you have str3, which is defo, right? So let's see now what's happening in here. So we will go by looking at the brackets just to have this operator precedence thing. So then what you have is that the first thing to be evaluated is strcpy. So what this will do is it will copy the contents of str1 to str2. So then what would this mean is that DILS, DILLS, is going to get copied into str2, and hence that will also be the output in here, right? So then here you see what you have is DILS, which is getting copied to str2, and strcpy is getting then, and then str2 is getting returned as the string in here. So what you have here is then strcat str3 comma DILS. And now what str3 is defo. You can see that there's defo is what it's initialized with. So strcat is then concatenating defo and DILS, which is now the value of str2 after strcpy was executed. So you have the two things, defo and DILS, concatenated together, and defo comes first and DIL comes later. So what you have is defo DILS. So this entire thing involving str3, str2, and str1 gives you daffodils, and strcmp then compares two strings, and the string that you want to compare with is also daffodils, as you can see in here. So then this result is true, and anything in true, as we have discussed in one of the previous week's session, that in C anything which is true is output as 0, because C doesn't have an explicit Boolean data type. So if you look at this strcmp, which is compared with daffodils, the value of I will be 0 in here, and hence the right answer you see here is also 0. So is this clear? Okay, I'm assuming that this was fairly easy to follow. So then I'll go on to the next one. And I'll also give a thumbs up in case you are seeing this. And let's go to the next one. Okay, so here you see code where you have included stdio and string.h. So by the way, one thing which I forgot mentioning is that all these things, strcpy, strlen, strcat, strcmp, all these come as a part of the string.h header file. So it's a standard C header file where different functions for manipulating strings are available, and as a programmer you are highly encouraged to use it because it has many useful pre-built functions which you can directly take advantage of, right? Okay, so here you see char p equals to assignment, so it's again a string which is created whose name is p, and then there are some additional variables which are getting created in here, and say so now you see that the I, now you have a for loop which initializes I to be 0 and j to be strlen p. So you know strlen will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's a 11. It's a kind of a, since it's a string, the strlen will be 11, right? Because you assignment itself is a 10 character word. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. So yeah, just to confirm, I just recalculated it. So you see it's a 10 character word, and this because it's a string, it should end with a /0 or a null character at the end. So in the at the end, what you have is strlen p, which will is going to give you 11, right? So now you have I less than j and I plus plus, right? Okay, so now you go in to this loop, and what's happening is here you have something which is getting kind of reversed in here. So pi, so t is having a p0, so p0 is a, so t is the value of t is a, and then we go to the next kind of command in here where pi is pj minus I, so pj is kind of 11, so 11 minus 1 is 10, so the 10th sorry, 11 minus 0, so 11 minus 0 is 10, as you can see, and therefore the 10th one, which is in here, getting assigned to pi, and we know that the 10th element in here is /0, so the first element in p, so the pi becomes /0. So you start with something which is /0, and then you have something which some other characters, right? So the idea here is that at the end of this entire for loop, what you have is a new kind of a string p whose first element is /0. So it doesn't matter what are the rest of the elements. The string, if you treat this as a string, it should end right away. So the first, because the first element is a null character. So then what this would mean is that when you put printf's percentages p and you want to print the value of p, what you will get printed is just nothing. So nothing is going to get printed because you have started with something which is /0. So it gets terminated right away. The string p gets terminated right away because at the very first line or the very first iteration of the I loop, you can see that the 0th element of p gets the value of the last element of assignment, and the last element of assignment being its because it's a string is /0. So p0 becomes /0, and anything else which comes after that, you do not need to go through the for loop and evaluate it explicitly, because which the computer obviously does, but in this specific case, you do not have to do it yourself to predict what's the output, because the output is nothing, and this is because the first element is /0 in here. So I hope this is clear. Okay, the null character is given at the end of the string because this is how C knows that when the string ends. Otherwise, C doesn't know when the string is ending, and if the C doesn't know when the string is ending, it becomes difficult for different string functions to work properly. So it's kind of a flag to say that, okay, halt, this is the place where the string ends. And hence, this is the reason why this null character is used at the end of the string. And this also enables C to distinguish between just a collection of random characters with strings. So anything within double quotes is actually a special kind of array of characters which ends with a /0. And this helps C to have the different functions in string.h to be properly functioning. So this is kind of a requirement, just to have a flag or a signal to say to the program or say to the computer that this is where the string ends. Okay. So what will be the output of hash include stdio.h? So you see there is a function foo, which is int, and so it's just a declaration of the function, and the first line just declares the function, and then later on the function is defined, which is just printing two kind of the two arguments which has been passed in here, and you see that the char x is equal to 67 and char y is equals to c, right? And then foo is passed with these values 67 and c, and then return 0, which is what is happening in main. So what you see in here is that you have the specifier %d. So what this means is that even if y, which is a character, gets converted to its ASCII equivalent, which is 67, this is because if you look at the character table for in ASCII, you will see that every alphabetic character has a unique number associated to it or a unique code associated with it, which is called the ASCII code. And for uppercase C, let's see if you can find in here. Yeah, here it is. What I have just already kind of highlighted. You see that the uppercase C has the ASCII code of 67, and hence when you give a %d and not %s, what you have at the end is that 67 is going to get printed. So, and x was already 67 and y gets converted to 67 because the ASCII character for C is 67. So at the end of the day, what you have is 67, 67. So had this been any other things, for example, A, uppercase A, then you will have a 65. For the in the place of y, while x remains unchanged as long as x is kept as 67. So I hope this is clear. So then let me go on to the next question, where you have been asked to predict the output of the following code. So first I'll just go through the code, and then I'll write this in Visual Studio Code, and just to give you a hint of what's going on. Let's see if you still do not understand, then I'll actually write this code in Visual Studio Code. But first I'll just try to briefly walk you through what's going on. So you see there is the first element, which is static int I equals to 1. So remember that whenever a variable is assumed to be static, its value is, okay, some question. Someone seemed to have raised their hand. Okay. I think it's from the previous questions. I hope that our doubt is cleared. If not, you can just let me know on chat. Okay, great. So you see the first line, static int I equals to 1. So what this means is that the first the variable that you see I in here is an integer variable, and it is of static type. What this means is that whenever the value of this variable is used or updated, and you go out of the function and then you come back to the function, its value is not changed. So it remembers what the value of this was in the previous calls of the function. So if a function is called multiple times, and if there are any local variables which are assumed to be static, then the code remembers what was the state of that particular static variable, or what was the value of that particular static variable the last time the function has been called. So what this would mean is that static int I equals to 1 creates an integer variable whose name is I, and it is static, and hence its value is remembered as every time the function is called, the value which was called previously was remembered. And it is initialized for the first time with the value of 1. So, okay. So static int I equals to 1 is what has been done. Now, if it's n is greater than equals to 5, then return n. So the question is, what will be the return by function f of 1? So then n1 is greater than equals to 5 would mean this is false, and then you go to the line after the if statement where n equals to n plus I. So then what this would mean is that the value of n is going to change from, you remember n was passed as 1, so the value of n is changed from to 1 plus 1, because I is also 1 in here, so 1 plus 1 is equals to 2, so the value of n is 2, and then at the next line I plus plus changes the value of I to, which was 1, to 2 as well. Okay, so so in the first iteration n was taken to be 1, and I was also taken to be 1, and after the end of the first iteration it's changed, n is changed to 2 and I is changed to 2. So let's now come back, because fn is called, so it's kind of a recursion which is going on where the same function is called within itself. So we again go back, and now this time we do not evaluate the first line, because it's not the first time the function is getting called. So remember that the first is the declaration and the definition of the value variable I, and since it's static, it's not called the second time, because it has already been defined, and the function, the code remembers it. So the function is remembers what the value of I was, and so now you see the n has changed to 2, because that's what the value it has been called with. So now 2 is greater than equals to 5 is still false. So you then again go to the next sentence, next command in here, where n equals to n plus I. So here you see I is 2 and n is also 2. So now n is changing to 4, and then I plus plus. So I then changes from 2 to 3, right? And then again you call fn. Okay, so you go back, and now n is called with the value of 4. So now again you have if 4 is greater than equals to 5. So this is kind of not true in here, right? So this is false, and therefore you again come to the line where n equals to n plus y. 1 is I is written. So now you know I is 3 and n is 4. So 4 plus 3 is 7. So you change the value of n to 7, and I and next line changes the value from I from 3 to 4. So you have n equals to 7 and I equals to 4, and then return of fn. So now fn gets returned in here, where now the new value of n which fn is called is 7. Now 7 is greater than equals to 5 is true, obviously. Then therefore what you return at the end of this is n equals to 7 once again, right? And hence the whole, and the code now terminates in here, because there is no call of fn anymore. This is just the plain value which has been returned. So the recursion ends in here with the value of n equals to 7 and I equals to 4, which stays with the previous value of what it was. So now the code asks for predicting the value of fn, which has been called. So the value is 7, as you can see, because it's the value of n which is returned at the end of the recursion step. So I hope this is clear. If not, then please feel free to ask. Otherwise, this will be the end of all the MCQs, and I will give a time for a minute or so, and then we will break straight into some of the coding questions from previous year. Okay, then let's move on to the coding questions from previous year. So let's see what the first question was. Write a program to count the number of uppercase and lowercase characters in a given string. So you first take the string, and then you calculate the number of uppercase and lowercase characters, right? So let's write this code. So for that, I'll be using VS Code. I already have a Hello World code written in here. So just for using this, I will also be using the kind of the string.h library, but for this specific code, I probably won't be needing that, but I would be needing this for the other coding assignments which we will be using today. So let's have it. The point is, even if you do not use it, then there is no harm in having string.h, and even if you do not use any of the functions which is available as a part of string.h. The problem happens is that you are using some functions and then you are not including it, then it's a problem, but you can have such redundant imports as well. Although it's, I would warn you here is that this is not considered as a good coding practice, but you can anyways have it if you wish. Okay, so let's define a character array, which is just a 100 element, and then let's take a printf. So we are going to give enter a string, and then we'll do a scanf. So we'll take the string in here. So now what this would mean is that we get a string as the input. So let's test if this code is working by just printing the same thing. The string is str %s/n, right? So then we will put in the other parts of the code. I'm going a little bit slow for you to catch this up because this can be a bit more non-intuitive and intimidating to start with. And then we will pick up pace and go and breeze through the rest of the coding assignments. But since this is the first coding assignment, I'm taking a bit more time to go thoroughly through this. Okay. I'll just do something like this and hit enter. So the string you entered is hello space world. So you see what I have in here is just hello, and world is not taken. So probably what you see in here that this is not working. And so let's try to figure out why this is not working in here, right? So then let's go back to how this was, and let's see how things are being taken into account in here, right? So you see the reason for this is that you need to have this specific thing, and this is what is actually taken into account, while you have to take the entire string as a part of scanf. Otherwise, as soon as you hit space, only the first character is gets input. So I'll copy this, and this is something a bit non-intuitive. So let's keep that in mind. This in here, and now let's see. I think this is the right. This was the right thing. Let's just confirm. Yes, I think this is correct. And then let's do this, right? And now let's we'll take str, which is the string in here, and do Control S to save this. Okay, let's see what happened in here. Okay, let's run this. And hit enter. Now the string you entered is hello world. So now you see that the entire thing gets input. So remember, this is the specific thing which is used for taking in the entire string, and make sure you do not miss this. This is kind of especially in C language, you have to just keep this in mind, right? So now that you are sure that this is working, and whatever string you enter is whatever gets passed into str. Otherwise, what was happening before is that only the first word is getting passed and not the entire word. So now you are sure about it. So this is how to proceed. So make sure that whenever you are doing some coding, you do it in small steps, and not try to write the entire code itself. This is like a good programming practice, and check each of these smaller steps are working fine or not. Then you will be sure that when you write the entire large code which has all the elements to it. All the elements had been individually tested, so it is going to work fine as well when you have the entire thing written together. And this also reduces a lot of time required for writing these codes. Yes, so what this means is that this kind of character /n means that you are going to scan everything until you hit a new line, or /n or enter, which corresponds to enter. So unless you hit enter, you are going to consider everything that you have that the computer has encountered from the user. So this uh, power-like thing, which is, I don't know what that's called, but that character which is above 6 in your keyboard, right? So that /n would mean that, so this is kind of something which is used to just consider everything until you encounter /n or enter. So this is what this means. Thanks for asking this. This is kind of a typical thing which is non-intuitive in C++, in C, for just taking in strings, and make sure you remember this. Okay. So once this has been taken, has been considered, let's now move on to count the number of strings in number of uppercase and lowercase elements in here. So for that, I'll use strlen str. So then what this will give me is that the length of the string, and now I'm going to do a for, and I can have an int I, which will go till len and I plus plus. So then what this would mean is that str I is greater than equals to a and less than equals to z. Then let's have int upper equals to 0 and lower equals to 0. And then what this would mean is that for plus, and then you have a lower plus plus. So what this means is that I loop through all the elements in the string. So the first for loop does that, and now it checks if any element is either is between a and z. So this is in uppercase, then you have upper plus plus. So upper gets updated by a value of get increased or incremented by 1, and if this is between small a and small z, then that gets lower gets incremented by a value of 1, right? And then you have a print statement at the end, which means print f. You have uppercase %d /n lowercase. So you have the upper and lower written. So what this does is just prints the number of uppercase and lowercase characters in the string that you are entering. So this is kind of the basic idea. And the reason that this works is because this value a gets converted to its ASCII equivalent, and then Z also gets converted to ASCII equivalent, and everything from A to Z are consecutive in uppercase, and similarly everything from lowercase a to lowercase z in ASCII is also consecutive. So just to make that point, I can show you this ASCII reference in here. Let me also put this in the chat so that this link on the chat so that you can also see this as well. Here you can look up the code, and here you can see, say you start with uppercase A, which starts at 65 and ends at 90. So instead of Z and A, you can also give greater than or equals to 65 and less than 90. That would have been also fine. And then from 97, you start the lowercase 1, and that also ends at Z, which is like 122, right? So you can either give directly the numbers, or you can also use this A and Z. And writing this way is convenient because you don't need to then remember what is their equivalent code is in ASCII. So having said that, let's run this. Let's see. Okay, so let's see what is the test case that has been considered in here. Okay, let's C. Problem solving through programming in C is what's been considered in here. So I'll copy this, and hopefully copy and paste is going to work. And here, problem solving through programming in C, and I hit enter. So you have 4 uppercase characters and 31 lowercase ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, as you can see. So let's go and check what's the expected one. So you have uppercase letters 4 and lowercase letters 31. So you see this is working pretty well. The next is 10 and 12. So let's run this again just to check. The 10 and 12. So this is working very well, as you can see in here. So at this point, if there are any questions, then please feel free to ask. When writing STRA, it checks the ASCII value. So whenever you have the comparison, what happens is STRI is also converted to kind of the it's not just one equal, but it's one equal would mean assignment. You have to give a double equal. So that is kind of the checking thing, right? So one equal is not right. You have to use double equals, which I think I have also done in here. As you can see, I have a greater than equals thing. So if you want to check for equality, you have to give a double equal. But since I'm checking a range, I have a greater than equal or less than equal. So that's the thing. But whenever you make that comparison, what the compiler does, it converts stri from ASCII to its equivalent value in decimal, and similarly A is also converted to its equivalent decimal code, and then the checking is happened. Otherwise, you just cannot compare A with B or something like that, right? So this is what is happening under the hood, which you do not see. Yeah, and it's fine. It's completely fine. Do not worry about it. I just wanted to correct you so that you do not make this mistake while you are writing the code. But yeah, it's completely fine, and the compiler, you'll learn from experience. So it's completely fine. You don't need to apologize for this. Okay. Then let's go to the next assignment in here, which is problem 2. So write a program to sum all the elements of each row of a matrix, right? So you have a matrix and you have been asked to just add all the rows of the matrix. And 4, 5, 6. So let's take in the matrix as the input. So we'll just take in every number, and then we will be just output all the rows. So we'll also output the matrix for sure, just to check what's happening on here. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code. I'll get rid of all these, and I just do or make an array, which is which I call matrix, and then I will make call an array called length, right? And then I will uh, rather I'll call it as row, and then I'll call it as column, right? And now once this is done, I'll do a printf, enter the matrix, so enter the row count of the matrix, right? And then I'll do a scanf to really take the input. And then I'll do the same thing. Okay, so here I did a mistake in here. Since this is a 2D matrix, I'll have 100, right? So because I'll have 2 dimensions, so that I will need to have 2 box brackets. So now I'll change the row count to COL and column count, and I put this as col, right? So now let's take in the values. So enter the elements of the matrix, and then we will take in the elements, right? So here, let me take the element. So now what this would mean is that I am entering the element in the matrix. So this is not a char, but this is an integer matrix. So my bad about that. And so it's percentage D, right? So you see, I take in the matrix element. So and matrix ij just takes in the value at ij, and then I take in the matrix. So this is at the end of this entire loop. So let me also give this like this, just for uh, not to have any confusion. I've just two braces put in. This is the outer loop, this is the inner loop, and after that my matrix is ready to be walked around. So let's then do that. So since I have my matrix around, so let's just first print the matrix, right? So in a nice form. So this is just printing the matrix. So I start with the rows, print all the columns, and once all the columns in a particular row has been printed, I give a /n. So I go to the next line and then print the next line. So this is how this would work. And then after that, let's do print f. So let's now calculate the sum. For that, let me run the for loop once again. For I 0. So let's first call int sum, right? This is kind of the sum of every element. Let's just find the value later, and let's just give a print f sum of elements in each row is, and I give a /n, go to the end and just give us, right? And now let's do the for loop. So I go to row and sum equals to, oops. So you see what I'm doing in here. I start with the row, I equals to 0, I less than row, I plus plus. So it starts from 0, goes through every rows. So first from 0th row, then first row, then second row, and at every time a new row begins. I have a j which starts from 0 and goes less than columns, and then sum equals to matrix ij. So what this does is adds every element in a column standing at any row, and this is what is gets printed. And then you go to the next line, and then again you go to the next row, and then again sum up all the sum is getting reset to 0, because you again have to sum it from the beginning because you're starting with a new row, and then you again add up right in here. Okay, so this is the basic code. So let's try the test case in here. Let's see what the test case was. So you have something like 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's put this in 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you have, let's see how many rows were there in this. There were 3 rows and 3 columns. So let's put that. Number of rows is 3. Number of columns is also 3. So enter the elements. So let's put in the elements in here. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we have to put row wise 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? So you see the matrix is 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 3, 1, 2, 3 properly entered. So the first one gives you 15, next one gives you 16, and the last one gives you, last row is added to give you 6. So 15, 16, and 6. So let's see. You have 15, 16, and 6, the output. So this works very well. Now you can try with other ones as well. which I leave up to you, but I'm pretty sure that this is our working solution. If there are any questions at this time, please feel free to ask. Okay, I guess there are no questions, so I'll just straight away move on to the next assignment. So you see problem 3. So write a C program to subtract two matrices A and B. So this is, I think, much easier than what we have been doing. So let's take just two matrices. They must be of the same dimensions, and then we will be subtracting one from the other, right? So let's go back to our VS Code, and we will get rid of all this. And I'll say matrix A is this. So we will have two matrices. So we'll have matrix A. Similarly, we are going to have a matrix B. I'm assuming that these are integers, but for this specific case, you can have anything, right? So you have row and column and enter elements of matrix A, and you take in for those of matrix A. Matrix A is this. Similarly, you take the same thing. You have the elements of matrix B, and similarly you have matrix B like this, right? And similarly we are going to also have matrix C as well, where we are going to put in the difference. So I'll define that in here, right? So you go through, so first you take in the elements of matrix A, then you take in the elements of matrix B, and you just print it first, just to be sure that you have taken in the right thing. So this is the same one where I'm just changing B to B, and this to matrix B, and this to matrix A. So this is just printing it. And now the final part where I'm going to add the things together, right? So let me put another print statement. Let me just give a comment in here, subtract A minus B is what I want to do, right? So then matrix C is, so you do something like matrix C is matrix Aij minus matrix Bij, and then you print it. So I'm doing the subtraction and print together, but you can also have this in two separate for loops as well. But I mean, this works as pretty fine because you're first calculating it and then you're printing it. But for the sake of it, you can also do it separately. So once this is done, what I'm going to do is just run this. And then let's try the example which is given in here. So let's see what's the example. It's a 3 cross 3. So then we will again give the row count and the column count. So by the way, one thing which I forgot mentioning is that I'm always assuming that the largest that you can do with all of these are 100 cross 100. So you cannot go beyond 100 cross 100 until you change this explicitly, and this is determined at compile time. There is something called malloc with which you can have dynamic arrays where the size of the arrays are determined at runtime, and these arrays are in are called differently, and I'm not going to go into those complications, and just have the fixed thing that for this specific program you are assuming that the user doesn't have a given array which is greater than 100. Okay, so now let's just put in all the values of the matrix in here. So you have 2, 3, 5, then 4, 5, 6, and 6, 5, 7. So let's put in 2, 3, 5, then 4, 5, 6, and then 6, 5, 7. 4, 5. 5, 7. Then enter element of matrix B. So let's put that in as well. Let me make this thing a bit larger so that it's easier for you to see what I'm typing. And then let's 1, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 3, 4. 1, 5, 2, then 2, 3, 4, and 3, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 4. Right? So you have matrix A, which is, now let's compare what we have got. I'll just put this in here just to make it easy. So you have 2, 3, 5, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 7, and you have 1, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 3, 3, 4, and then at the end you have 1, minus 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, and 3, 2, 3. So you can see this is exactly what you are getting in here. So this is this I hope is clear. This was actually in my opinion is a bit simpler compared to the code which we were discussing in the previous question. But if there are doubts in this, please feel free to ask. If not, then let me go to the next question, which perhaps will be the final question for this specific session as well. Okay, so what was this? Program 2, program 4, which is, okay, lower triangular. So I think this is the one we have already discussed. This one subtraction, so this is the lower triangular one, which is now left discussing. Okay, so you see what this means is that here it asks, write a C program to print the lower triangle of a matrix. So you give an output like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6. So remember that lower triangular of a matrix and always means that the matrix has to be square matrix. That would mean that the number of rows and the number of columns have to be equal. Otherwise, the definition of lower triangular or upper triangular is not valid. So in this specific case, when you are asked to find out the lower triangular of a matrix, you have to assume that the number of rows and the number of columns has to be equal. And so what you get at the end is that the upper triangular ones are set to 0, while the lower triangular ones are kept as it is, and then the matrix is displayed, right? So let's try this. For that, let me go to VS Code and let's just have a new have a matrix A only, right? Which we are going to take in. Enter the number of rows. We don't need the column in here, and because the number of rows and the number of columns are equal, so we will now just give col equals to row, because that's what it is. It's a square matrix. Then we are asked to, we will just ask to enter the elements of the matrix. Right? And here then I'll not have anything in here, and then you have matrix is, so you just print the matrix, right? I'll not call it matrix A, but just matrix itself. So you just print the matrix in here. This is the first matrix which is getting printed, and later on we are moving here, and here what's happening is we are not going to print everything. So the lower triangular matrix is, so now the thing is we are going to print the lower triangular elements only and make the upper triangular elements 0, right? So we'll go in here, and then we have to have an if statement if I greater than or equals to j, this, or print 0, right? So what this would mean is that I am going to print if I greater than equals to j, I'm going to print whatever the value of the matrix is. Otherwise, I'm just going to print 0. Okay. Let's see. Right. So you see the if one, so this is what's happening in here. So let's now print, save this. This is saved, and now we are getting rid of everything and just have a return 0 just to have the proper return and save this code. Okay. So now what this means is that I greater than equals to say. So this is the definition of a triangular, low triangular matrix, is that when for all the values for which I is greater than equals to j, that's below the diagonal. And also includes the diagonal itself because equals is there. So diagonal elements are the elements where I and j are equal, while the I greater than equals to j is the lower diagonal, while I is below the diagonal basically, and when I is less than or equals to j, it includes the diagonal and every element above it. Okay, so we wanted the lower triangular, so we have an I greater than or equals to j. So it includes diagonal elements as well as the element just below the diagonal. Okay, so let's now run this. And let's see what was the test case with which we are going to test. So we are going to test with a 3x3 matrix and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, and then 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, 7, 4, 5. So you see the matrix which we have entered is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4, 5, 6. And at the end, what we have got is 2, 0, 0, 5, 6, 0, and 4, 5, 6. And then if we look at the thing that's expected, you also see that what I have is 2, 0, 0, 560 and 456, and what we have entered is exactly 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4, 5, 6. So the test case gets reproduced in here, and this program seems to work fine. If again you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Okay, since there are no doubts in here, I would ask you to go through the last question, and where the question is finding out the largest word in a sentence, and then we are going to, I'll just give you a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, to tell me that whether you would like this to be discussed, because it's a fairly long one, so you will require around like 10 or 15 minutes for this question. So whether you would like to try it at your own pace and get back to me in terms of email, or you want me to discuss this right away, I would be happy to do either. So please let me know. So the question is finding out the largest word in a sentence. So if I don't find any response in the chat, then I'll go ahead and discuss this. Otherwise, just please let me know. Okay, since I don't see any replies, I'm assuming that people want this to be discussed. So let's then go and take in the string and get rid of all of these. I'm going to take a string which has a 512 characters. It's a fairly large one. You'll have a sentence basically, and then I will have to take in the words. And let me assume not int, but let's take it char. So this is a character thing, and then I'll also take in words, right? So I'll have words, which is I'll have say at most 100 words. So I am expecting that I won't be having more than 100 words, and then I can also have 100 characters each word. So rather, it's basically 50 characters each word. So what I'm assuming in here is that I have a string, and in that string, I have at most 100 words, and each word is not more than 50 characters. So it's a fairly reasonable assumption. But again, if you want to have a code which is more agnostic to what the number of words in your string is, and also the number of elements in a word, then you can use malloc, which is like a dynamic array allocation. And I won't deal into that and get into those complications for this specific case of demonstration purpose. Okay. So let me then take in the thing. So let me have a printf, enter a string, and let's just take. So this is also another thing which one can use, gets, and this also just takes you a string. Let's test this. Printf. I mean, just let me print this. Instead of the complicated thing which I was showing, this might be another option which you can try. So let's see. I will again start with testing with the hello world, right? And you see hello world. So gets is another good way to get an entire string where you can put in like skip through, so you can put in the arrays and questions and things like these. So this is one way of doing it, where you do not have to use that thing you remember, which was this up character, and then there was this percentage and /n, something like these. So you do not have to get into all those details. You can just use simply gets. So this is one way of doing this. Yes, I'm discussing it. So yeah, thanks. Okay. Then what now we are going to do is having so since this is working, I'll just get rid of this, and now have something like some stuffs like this. I think for now let's have just one int I and two, in fact, in j, right? And then and max size equals to 0, and min size. I'll explain what this would mean is 50. So what this I'm asking is putting in here is that I'm assuming that the smallest word that I have starts with a max size of 0, and the largest word that I have is 50. So that's kind of puts me in the upper limit. So then when I compare and take in the words, I compare with this. So this is kind of the initialization. Now I have a for loop, right? For. So let's first calculate the number of words as well. Word count. So let's also do that. So I'm now doing a for loop in here. So for I, let's have I equals Okay, so now let's see what I'm doing in here. You see that for I not equals to /0. So what this would mean is that I go through a for loop and I go through all the elements until I encounter /0. So that would mean I'm at the end of the string. So, and now as soon as I do stri equals to space, that would mean that whenever I encounter space, I do a word count ij equals to /0, right? So let's see. So what I first do is I just count the words, right? So let's get rid of all this. So I start with a word count of 1. So I think that obviously there is at least one word which is there in the sentence. So I start with a word count of 1. And whenever I have an if statement where it's a plus, I do a word count plus plus. So what I'm doing in here is I'm counting the words. So I start from the first element, the first character in the string, I iterate over it until I hit the end of the string, and I compare every element and see if I encounter a space. So because every word is separated by a space, and as soon as I encounter space, I increase my word count, right? So as soon as I encounter the first space, I know that my word count has increased, right? So I can also have this as 0 as well. And at the end, like I have a if word underscore count equals to 0. At the end, I do not, I have encountered everything. Then what I do is that, oops, I do a word underscore count equals to 1. So now what this would mean, I have missed putting this in here. Yes. So what this means is that at the end, I see that after iterating through it, so what if my sentence just has one word? Then that would mean is that I have to just add one more to it. So that's what's happening in here, right? So once this is done, so let's see, first check whether I'm able to properly calculate the number of words or not. If not, then we have to see if this is working and debug this code accordingly. So let's save this, and if this is working, then we will go on and then calculate what is the largest word and what is the smallest word. But first, let's see if we are able to count how many words are there in this whatever string the user enters. So now let's run this. So let's first try just one thing, hello. And okay, sorry, I missed the print statement. So let's give a print f. The word count is word count. So that's the number of words that I have. So let's save this. Let's run this. What is happening in here? Things are not running for some reason. Yes. Hello, and I see you see that the word count is 1. And now let's run it again, and then let's see hello world. So now I have 2 words, and I see this is not working. So you see word count is again getting us 1. So something is not working. So let's try to figure out what's happening. So, okay, let's test it once again. T, word count is 1. So let's see. So I equals to 0, I not equals to /o. You go in here if stri, so you increase the word count. And for this, what we are going to do is put in the breakpoint. So it's also a good time where I show you how to use the debugger as well. So let's use that as an example. for some reason, the code is taking a bit of time to run. So let's just wait patiently. What is happening in here? Okay, so let me do one thing. For some reason, okay, I think, yeah, things were hanging a little bit. I don't know. Okay, so let's give hello world and check. Okay, so here we are. You see at line 11 where we are breaking, and let's see what str is. So str, if I just break it, you see hello and then world. So let's see, hello and world is there, and then /c, and then some other things. So str is okay. So let's go beyond this, and let's step through the code and see what's happening in here. So, okay, let me put this somewhere else. Step for some reason my screen share is interfering with this. Okay. So we are now inside the for loop. As you can see, str I, so it's compared, it's not equals to space, so it goes back, goes in here, goes back, goes in here. So let's have one more character in here. Fchar C, just a character, and let's have C equals stri, right? And we will compare C. This is for us to see what the debugger is doing, right? So character. Let me make it a bit larger, just to be explicit. And we compare. Let's do this, and let's stop the debugger. And let's try to debug it once again. Okay, great. So now let's give hello world a try. Okay, so now let's step through the code. Here in here, you see character. As you can see in here, the character gets the value of h, which is the first thing. H is then compared. Let me just stop sharing my screen once again and restart the share, because I see that there is a bit of interference which is going on with the Windows. Yeah. For which I'm not able to just access the buttons of stepping and doing things. There is some problem which I'm encountering while trying to have this. Just wait a minute, and now I think this is going to work. Okay. Yeah, now I'm able to kind of step through the code and I'm not having problems. Okay, so you see now character if it is space, and so now we are going back and then going to the next line. You see I compare this once again to stri, compare this with space. You see there's a space in here. Now it's E, so it's again not equals to space. So do this once again in here, L once again. So now O, and then now I encounter space. So now I compare. So what count gets has to increase. So it increases to 1 to 2, right? And then this is it. So I think what the problem that's happening in here is just get rid of this, and I have to initialize this to 1 because by default I'm assuming things to be 1, and then I just increase by 1 more every time I encounter a space, right? So this is, I think, what was going wrong in here. So let's try this. And okay, so this is getting closed in here. This is getting closed. This is not the right thing. Okay, so let's try to then run this one. Somehow it's taking a bit of time to run, so I will ask you to please hold on. Sorry for this. Uh-huh. So if there's anything on chat, meanwhile, you can put it. I'm just waiting for the code to run. Okay, so let me do one thing just to find out why this is not running. I'll just close VS Code once and just restart it. Hopefully the whatever the problem was happening will be fixed. And let's see. Yes, I think this is the problem has been fixed. So let me do a hello, hit enter. The word count is 1. Let me again rerun the code. Okay, hello, hit enter. Word count is 2. So perfect. So this is working fine. Let's try one more. This time 3. This is a test. So this should give me 4. And word count is 4. So now we are certain that this word count is perfectly working. So let's move ahead. Then now let's go through all the words, right, and see if we are able to properly get that or not. Okay, so the way to do that would be just putting in words. So I'll start with j of 0, right? So I of 0 and j will be initialized to 0 as well. So this is the next thing that I have in here, right? And here I'll just put in everything in here. So you see I have words, WRDS, words. I have A, and I have A plus plus, right? And then I also have A equals to 0. So these are the three things. So now what I'm going to do is I have a char. Okay. So what I am doing in here is that I am starting with word j equals to 0. So this means that this is the first word, and in that first word I am starting with k, which is equals to 0, which is what the initialization in here is, and then I'm adding on this, like the value of k. Have I not initialized k? Okay, let me put this in as well. Okay, so k equals to 0, and then whatever is happening in here, and I just go on to do this. So now you see that I have words which are getting accumulated in here. So this will be an array which will contain individual words. So I'm now extracting the words from this, and these are the characters which goes in here. And once I encounter space, it's a word count. So what I do in here is that not only do I increase the word count, but I do words. So I have gone through to k plus plus. So the k has increased, right? So now I do a words jk equals to 0, right? And then I put k equals to 0. So k is again initialized to 0, and I do a j plus plus in here. So let's check this. And now I am going to print then the total number of words itself, and just to check whether I'm getting the words properly or not. So for INTI, not INT, but I've already defined it, I equals to 0. And then get rid of all of these. And now what I'm going to do is print F. Now this is going to just print the words. This is for checking whether I have properly extracted the words in the new thing or not, right? Let's see. Let me run this once again. I'll do a hello world, and you see hello and world are getting printed one after the other. So this seems to work fine. So you see that I have hello and I have world, which is in here. So I have counted the number of words in my sentence. Not counted, but I have counted the number of words, and I've also extracted every word in this sentence, which is in this words array. So once this is done, and I'm sure that I have done this properly, then what I am going to do is now go through all the words and calculate the length of every thing, and then that is what is str len is going to give me. So we have this max size and mean size, right? So let's do this. Then you have max size, right? And I count words I if max size. If words strlen max size is greater than max size, then strlen. Otherwise, it's just max size. Similarly, mean size is this, right? So what this means is that I go through all the words and I do something like I find the max size and I find the mean size. And okay, so I think here I can also make this a bit more inclusive by also having something like a character. So when you have a full stop as well, you increase the word count, right? Because no, I think this is not right. Okay, so now what this would mean in here is that I compare, I see how many strlen is a string function, as you already know, because from string.h, it counts the number of words, number of characters in a string. So I look at what I count the number of characters, right? And this /0 encounters that, ensures that the string ends with /0. So the words are ending with /0. So it gets properly ended. And then I just do, if I find that to be already larger than whatever the max size is, then I assign this to max size. Otherwise, max size remains the same. And the reverse is true for mean size. So this is the ternary operator. And I have discussed how this ternary operator works in one of the previous sessions. And if you are not pretty much comfortable with this, you can use if-else statement as well. But I would also encourage you to please go and check out my previous YouTube video on the previous session where I have discussed operators, and ternary operators has been also discussed in depth in here. Okay, so now let's have the last print statement that the number of words in the string is obviously this. Then have a printf, the longest word is max size, and then have a print, the shortest word is mean size, right? So let's try to run this on hello world. The number of words is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think this is most likely not working because you see that the longest word is this sentence is trying to be 6. 6. So somehow what's happening in here, I think, is that the space is also getting counted in here. So let's try to address that by not encountering the space. So for that, what you would need is a k-1, because what I'm seeing in here is that the space is getting counted. So to get rid of that, you need to have this k-1 properly put in, right? So now let's run this. And for the last word also, let's put this. In here, ports JK++. So you encounter a space, otherwise. Okay, and what I also want to do in here is, just for safety, I'll have this words thing also initialized to /0 so that it always ends properly, right? So for that, what I would do is, yes. So you see I equals to 0, I less than 100. So that what this would mean is that the words get properly initialized. Okay, so now let me run this code. Okay, so you see 2 and 5. So now this is HELLO. So I think this is working fine. So we'll test now with the test case, which is shown in here. And right now, if there are any questions, so the same code is not working for me. It is showing error after I++. Okay, I think I changed a bit of stuffs in here. So most likely this is now going to work. Let me go through this and then I'll share the code snippet, the entire code in the chat box, and then you can copy this. And then let's see if that doesn't work, then we can try to figure out what's happening. But let's try to test now with the test case, and then we can obviously get back to what problem you are happening. Okay, so what do you mean by video next time after class? Is this you mean video of this session or the video of the previous session where I discussed ternary operators, which I was talking about a while earlier? If it is video of this session, then obviously this will also be uploaded on YouTube, and you can check it out. Let me put this in chat as well. Let me know which video you are talking about, then we can do this. Anyways, let's try the test case. In here, the test case is something like this. So let me copy this and run this thing. So these are the words, and you see that the number of words is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 4 words that you have. The longest word is 8, and the shortest word is 3. So let's see what the thing is. The smallest approved word is, the longest approved word is approved, and the smallest word is FDP. Okay, so it's not only just correct, it also shows the word itself. So that can also be done in here. So it just counts and says that obviously the shortest one is FDP, as you can see, and the longest one is of size 8, which is APPROVED approved. So this is the one. And you see this is working fine, but the code also prints the specific word, which is the longest word, and the word which is the shortest word, which is not done in here. But I think this code is good enough for you to give a starting point where you can also identify which is the largest word and which is the smallest word. To do that, you see, you already know the size of every word, right? So you also know what is the largest word and what would be the smallest word, right? So for that, what you would need is that you have to do something like a largest index and smallest index, and this will be all integers. You have to identify which word, right? And then you can do something like INDX. So this is something like this, and you give the largest index as 0 and the smallest index as 0. So it's max size, then I, otherwise this. Similarly, you do something like a smallest index and something like this, right? And this is how you get it. And once you have done that, you just give print. The longest word in the string is this, and the shortest word in the string is this, right? I've missed this underscore in here. So hopefully now everything is fine. So now let me copy this same thing. And now let me run this code. There was also a print statement, which is just printing the words. I don't think I need that anymore. So let me try to find that. So this, I can comment it out because I don't need to print this. Let me stop this code. Let me run this once again. And you see, mm-hmm. So this is not working, obviously, because we have done some error in here. So let's try to figure out what's going wrong. But for now, the first part of it is obviously running fine. So what I'll do in here is, as some of you were saying that this is not working, sorry about that, I'll put the code in the chat so that you can use this entire code as it is, and then I'll get back to what was happening, what we were doing. Okay, so this is the entire code which I put on chat. And let's now go back and see exactly where we are going wrong. So we have already identified what's the max size is through this, and that's we have to also identify what's the index of that so that we can print that, right? So for doing that, let's see. We are saying that if greater than equals to max size, then it's I, what we are looking at, and otherwise you get the largest index, and you have, so I think less than equals to, I think perhaps this is what can fix this. And you start with something which is the largest index and the smallest index, and let's run this. Let me see what was the test case in here. Copy this. Is this in? Yes. So the longest word is approved and the shortest word is FDP. So this is, I think, the right one. I just missed this equals to because you have already changed it. So the equal to was equals to is what was needed to fix this code. So let's go back. Here, let me put this the new code in, and now this is the new code which I have put in. So please check if this is working or not, and let me know. Meanwhile, let me see if I can put this as a code itself. Format, more options, code snippet. Okay. Words. Let me call it just play with words. .c, and this is a C code. Let me insert this, and it's okay. So let's edit this thing. So please check the code snippet which I'm sharing, and let me know if this is working or not for you. And I think this is the end of today's session, where we have learned quite a lot of things about strings, starting from, and also used arrays, which we have learned in the previous sessions for dealing with strings. We have also learned that string is kind of a special array which ends which is an array of characters which ends with a null character, which is /0, and which is something you would absolutely need for different string functions, which comes as a part of string.h a header in C standard language library, so that you have that /0 is needed, and it's essential. And I hope that you have that I have covered enough of examples about strings and using arrays and to deal with strings, and also using different functions from the string library, that you will be confident enough to answer all the questions and encounter whenever you encounter strings and use them in futures. And on that note, I would conclude this session. I'll stop sharing my screen, and I don't think that there are any questions in here. Please feel free to ask if there are any. Otherwise, I'll just end the session. Okay, then. This is the end of the session, and bye. Thanks again for your time, and thanks for listening, and I'll stop the recording as well.